Hi there, my name's Stevie P. I want to do a guide on this fight that you come across in Chapter 12, Fight for Survival, when you're going up the pillar. And you just come across this really disproportionately difficult fight. It's against this elite shock trooper. You've got two sentry guns there, and then once one of them is defeated, either one of those three enemies, these two helitroopers come barging in. They are really tough, and they just do disproportionate amounts of damage if you don't know what you're doing. I remember the first time just having to do loads of curing, and I'm now wanting to find a way of getting through this fight without having to do any curing, and also just knowing exactly how they move and what they're doing, because as you'll see when I walk you through, there's so much going on, and at some points you just have to accept that you will be vulnerable to attack. There's nothing that you can do to prevent yourself being vulnerable to heavy, physically damaging attacks. So we'll do our best to mitigate that. So all of the troopers, so the elite shock trooper and the helitroopers, they are vulnerable to fire. So I've got magnify with fire on Cloud so that he can do some damage that way. And then I've also got synergize with fire on Tifa. So every time Cloud does, as your main character, an attack with fire, she will also do an attack with fire that is independent of her ATB. It just means we'll output a lot of magical fire damage of the element that the troopers, the shock trooper and the helitrooper, are vulnerable to. So that's the point in the fire. Then we've got elemental equipped with lightning on Tifa. For her to basically, her job will be to take out the sentry guns, which are vulnerable to fire. I've then got parry on Cloud and Tifa, and the reason for that is because the helitroopers will swing in to do this heavy physically damaging attack, and unless you're able to dodge out of the way, they will hit you with that. And dodging out of the way will put them into a state that they're vulnerable to being staggered, but it's quite difficult to do because they're so quick that, in fact, if you have parry, then at least you can block while you dodge. One of the weaknesses with this method, and I haven't found a solution to it yet, is if you're going to use magic at all, which is recommended, then while you're channeling, so while you're doing your magical attack, they can simply come in and hit you without any warning. So that's the vulnerability in this build. I'd love to know if anybody has an improvement on that. I've also got First Strike and ATB on Cloud and Tifa, just to give them a bit of a head start at the beginning of this fight. So we run in and straight away do ATB boost with Cloud, and Tifa is ready already with her First Strike to do some damage to, let's say, this sentry gun. So now I'm going to just jump in and see who this guy is targeting. Not easy to see who he's targeting right now. I'm going to jump over to Tifa, because I did have a feeling that he was targeting Cloud. You want to know so that you can jump to your other character, and then as soon as he starts to attack, build up a little bit of ATB. So that's what I've got Tifa doing. She's going to just dodge out of the way of him now. Okay, she dodged and blocked most of those. Now she's going to do Thunder against the other sentry gun. So far the strategy is you just want to know who the elite shock trooper is targeting so that you can use your other character to build up a little bit of ATB, and then you're using Tifa to do Thunder against the sentry guns.
My turn.
Now we're on to Cloud, and you can see the two helitroopers have arrived. And this is the bit where, unless someone can find an improvement on this, I see no way of avoiding being vulnerable. So they do this attack where they basically swing in and try to hit you. When they do this, it's really, really difficult to dodge. Now, I'm tempted to use Focus Thrust against this pressured helitrooper, but instead I'm just going to use Fire, and let's watch while Tifa synergizes with that. I am fully aware that this guy is doing Pulse Shot. We're going to get hit by that without blocking. This helitrooper might also swing in and do a, I think it's called a bar swipe, which does something like 500 damage, so it's really heavy. But sooner or later, you just have to accept the fact that if you're going to do anything in this fight at all, like whether I was going to use Focus Thrust right now or use firer, you're vulnerable to getting hit. And you can see there, we successfully synergized. So Tifa also got off an attack, which is great. The elite shock trooper is very close to being staggered. Just do one punch on him, and he is now staggered. I'm trying to be purist about this, so I'm not going to use Tifa's limit break because I'm conscious that many people might enter this battle without their limit bars very full at all. Okay, so we're in a great position now, because when I jumped back to Cloud, I noticed that this Helitrooper here was trying to do one of his, he was swinging in to attack Cloud. So I dodged out of the way using parry and succeeded. It was difficult. I almost got hit. But that's now put him in a pressurized state. So we've got one staggered Helitrooper, one staggered shock trooper, and one pressurized Helitrooper. We're in a great position right now. Perfect chance for Cloud to just do some physical attacks to build up ATB. And now do another firer, which I'm hoping will go a long way to finishing certainly the Helitroopers off. So we'll let him do that. One thing to kind of constantly remember is that if you jump over to Tifa too soon, she won't be able to synergize. So it's important that you synergize. I'm going to use Unbridled Strength. Run in. Build up some ATB. You basically want to see what he's doing. Okay, so he's now you can see he's looking at Tifa. Jump back over to Cloud. And attack. Braver. And that's it. Job's done. So we didn't lose too much health there. And I would say that once you get this strategy down, you can get to a point where you're confidently winning without having to do any healing. There are moments, like for example when you do, because you could just choose not to do Firer on all of them and have synergize with Tifa just because of the risk that you're vulnerable to being attacked, but I see no other method available that does that much damage output that I think it's worth the risk of getting hit. So I hope that that was useful. You saw using parry as well to put one of them in a pressurized state and how useful that is. I think we got hit with using parry as well another time. So that was a good run through, and hopefully you saw everything that you needed to, but certainly let me know if that helped you or not, or if you have any feedback. Thank you very much.